to. So what you do with that is whenever you buy property, whether it's a car, land, you buy it in the name of that trust, as opposed to buying in the name of only. So which means whatever happens, even if I die, that trust continues because it's already been settled. And the trust will also have their own, what we call their trustees. So you will choose people that can also do the same issue that the people in the world will do. It's much easier, it's cleaner, but a lot of people usually don't get down to it because it's the same process. I'll do it later. But you can do that. You can create what we call a settlement trust in lieu of a will. That also can also talk about the guardianship of your children, how you want your children, who should be looking after your children. You can. Maybe there's certain things you don't want to put in the settlement trust because maybe they want the benefit of your family or maybe your siblings only. You can put that in the will, as opposed to the joint property that you've done together with your husband or your wife. So that's also possible. Oh, she was second, but that's fine.
In the case where the person has a certain will, do they also pay things like debt duties and all that?
Yes. Your final, the taxpayer collects from you when you die. So they'll do that with the will. It's less with the settlement trust because the settlement trust will continue to pay taxes even though you're dead. Yes. So the settlement trust continues to pay taxes. But it's just at death, we take a big chunk of it. Yes, the taxpayer. You must pay Caesar what Caesar is owed.
I would ask you, what if you died without a will? Would you be happy to see your children suffer? I'm saying this because I'm a widow. I've gone through, I didn't have a will. What if you're given a chance just to wake up and see what has happened to them because you didn't write a will? Think over it. It's so important. And us ladies, we talk of wills like we want men to write a will. I'm happy that Zone has mentioned that even us we can write a will. In my case, I'm still fighting for the property of my husband, and I wish I could write a will. I wish, and I wish I could not die now before I write the property. I write the will. It's amazing, and it's not amazing as such. It's so hard. It's easier said as she said here. But if your wife goes through what happens, it's really painful. So men, don't underrate the writing of the will. I would encourage you to write the will. Because today you're telling your wife, I love you so much. You're telling your children, I love you so much. And then tomorrow, those people that you love so much, they're going through trouble because you didn't write a will. Men, young couples, think over it. I would encourage you to write a will. It's not easy. It's easier said as she said. It's easier that she's giving us this. But in reality, it's not life that you want your wife to go through. Please, men. And please, ladies, think over it as well. If your husband dies without your will, write a will yourself for the children. Thank
you. I'm just going to give you this antidote in terms of why a will is important. Despite the fact that we were going through the problems that we were going through, as I said, with my father's estate, but the fact that he had put his wishes in writing is what the courts, even in 2011, 2013, adhered to. What did this man want to happen to his estate? Did he want it to be sold? No. Did he want it to go to his children? Yes. And it's the business, as I said, it's your words that speak to you even when you're dead. It's as simple as that. We will listen to those words, and trust you, in courts, listen to those words very, very carefully. We pay attention to what you wanted.
Yeah, you were talking about the issues of property grabbing, etc., and how we should report. What if the person who is facing that is not willing to bring it to the open? I'm saying that because I've been dealing with a case of a lady who has been undergoing very serious abuse. The husband, for example, beat her one time and she was blind for 2 weeks. He steps on her neck and beats her in front of children, etc. Spoken to the lady, brought in a trauma counselor to see that this man is not up to code. Right now, she was stopped from working. The husband is seriously abusing her. But she's not willing to come up with I told her the options that are there and that she can go and get help, but she just seems to have been so used to being abused that she seems to be feeling sorry for the person if he's reported. Maybe he's the father of my children.
I know my
that.
children will
And to be
suffer.
honest, that has really been paining me a lot. What you do in such situations where somebody not willing to speak out or to find justice and yet they are suffering?
But I'll tell you this, if you don't speak out, guess what happens? And abuse gets to a point, one has to die. People, it's either they kill themselves or they are killed by the partner or the partner kills them. Because at some point, we call it battered wife syndrome. With battered wife syndrome, it will fester, it will be for years and years. Eventually, they will snap. And when it comes to that, it's, yes, they'll come to court, we will consider the battered wife, but they'll still go to prison. It won't be like they'll go for a long time, but they still go to prison. What happens to the children? The issue for me is sometimes taking the bold step of reporting saves a life. And it's not just that life. Children at some point also will come out, and I'll tell you there's a case where a couple was fighting. The man decided to take hot water and cold. And guess what? The woman had a child on her back. Guess who died? The child. I have 4 of those cases in my eastern region of that kind of nature where people are fighting, partners are fighting. But because there are people around them, it's not always them that are going to be hurt. Others around them can also be hurt, including the children. And it's always hard to report such issues, even for a person who doesn't want to get to this point. But it is breaking bondage is always difficult because it is bondage. And it's the same thing with property grabbing. It is bondage. We don't want these kids will have to have relationships with their father's side of the family or their mother's side of the family. But I always say there are 2 issues that you go through. And one of the things that I realized, my mother had 2 principles. Yes, we're going through this, but these are still your people. You might not like it. We struggle with that. You understand? We struggle. But she kept saying, you must forgive them for you. Not for them. Forgive them for you. So that you can have freedom and conscience and be able to look at them as a fellow human being and have a relationship with them. I have a relationship with my father's side of the family, despite all what happened. Because my mother had to ingrain it in me that this is life. We all die. But you must live with peace. And it's always hard. We still struggle. Trust me, we still struggle. But it took me a while to get to there. But for this kind of what it does is it creates a different scenario for the kids. They will not live with peace and they will understand violence as part of life. And it's something that, as people who work with violence, I would definitely say, even though there's trauma, she's getting counseling, but it's always going to be difficult to get healed if you're still in that home. Because the counselor will come today, but when you get home, you're prison again. All the work the counselor has done out the window, he or she has to start again at point 1. And you can't continue going to point 1. And the person will never move. Sometimes she just needs a shake. So I hope you are ready to do that shake. Please do the shake. Yes, because I will tell you that I fear over worst case scenario, and you shouldn't live with that regret. If only.
So in your view, which is better, a trust or a will? Because I'm going to come back to the point of the trust. It's going to be a living thing, so you're going to pay taxes gradually when and as. I'm looking at cases where the people are coming in with the death duties again, and people are coming to assess you on the property that you have, but maybe you don't have the money.
Yes.
So now people are, you're leading people, families, you have wives and children, with stress of now having to raise money that they actually do not have. This property might have been built a long time ago. So in your view, it is better to have a will.
I always prefer the settlement trust because it helps you to add on and helps it to be a living will, but also it helps create a legacy kind of situation for the children because they understand that although mommy and daddy did this is issues that are not only for us because we're telling them it's for everyone else who comes after you. While with wills, it usually looks like it stays with only the one who are benefiting. Yes. So when I used to do more advisory work, I preferred the settlement trust way because at least it helps you to, as you say, ease your financial burden, but also still benefit as a person, as yourself from it. There's a hand at the far end there.
Can I request the beneficiary?
No, because we're afraid you might decide to go kill them. So we would definitely know you can't be a beneficiary. Other than that, I thank you all. I will give William the presentation, but I also sent him some samples of wills and settlement trust. But as I said, the biggest concept for me is if we love each other, we will ensure that we go and love our people by being prepared. You said you haven't written a will, go write it. Even though you're still suffering and sorting out the issue, but write for what you have now, write a will. Because we don't want to have the situation that you're in visited on the children twice. What you have, put it in a will. What you're fighting for, you say you put it that if it's the legal suits that are pending in your husband's estate, you can put those and say, look, currently there exists the proceeds of this. If they are for the benefit of children, they will go there. But I will tell you this, go right now. There's a lot of pro bono services that a lot of women lawyers give, and even male lawyers give with a lot of things. So for issues like what we were saying, talking about domestic violence, that is something we're willing to always come back, even as Wajam, we're always willing to come back and have a discussion on that as a whole thing. We do legal clinics as well. We haven't done one in Lilongwe for a long time, where we even go and help women and men, mostly women though. And I apologize if it's a female wheeler or the male child, we only basically, and we do the elderly and the persons with disability and children. We believe you men can sort yourself out. So we do legal clinics, so we also help with those writing of wills. I'll see if we can ask a few of the women lawyers to do one soon, because I know I was asked the same thing on the 5th of June when I went to the Mothers Union one. Maybe we can do a joint one where a couple of churches, including ladies from the Muslim community, can come together and do a legal clinic on the issues that we need to sort out as a team. Thank you.
I know CCPC can do better than that. This was an education and a half, right? I know that we have learned things that we didn't know. Those who knew have freshened up on that knowledge. And I believe in Judge Ntaba, there will be a lot of people calling and saying, I have done my will. Can you look at it and help us polish it up? But I'm sure people will do the needful because this is very, very important. And I also just wanted to mention that us inviting Judge Intaba to come has been a follow-up to several discussions we've been having at marriage ministry. And I'm deliberately not saying young couples, because people who are married in our church are not only young. We have a lot of older people who are still married, and younger couples look up to them. But we are all here to learn something like this. What I'm trying to say is at marriage ministry, it's open for everybody who is married. And we do some sessions for people who are not yet married. So when we have sessions, when we announce in church that we have meetings, if you're married, you qualify. Please come, because these kinds of things, we discuss them and we cross-pollinate, and that's how we are growing. So I'm just trying to encourage all of us to keep the marriage ministry alive, because as long as we are married, we need this ministry. Amen. Unless women have any other announcements, I'm going to ask Pastor Aubrey to come and do the benediction for us. Announcement.
Mobile zanso chachi siko mkwambiri tatekuwa maso kwambiri sio mtu asima ndaziba siko mkwambiri zimene mwatikaira ndizaba mwamba kwambiri kuposa mphatso imereka mphatso kamene nakubonserani koma kuthokoza Mulungu abibirize kubatani seruzo bitira bane zibonga kwambiri. You will come. Take iwe mama ikusa okusa katika mkelele.
Tupepere Atate tukuthokozani tukuyamikani chifukwa cha nthawi yabwino munatibatsa nthawi yotithandiza yosekula maso athu komanso kutithandizira kuti Yehova ikachite bwino pamene pansi pano. Tsiku la Yehova chifukwa ndi chikonzero chanu nakodza tsiku ili ndikoneka kuti Yehova tithandizeni tikatenge ma right steps tikuyenda tichite chifukwa sessions zitakonzera isangokhala nthawi yoti Yehova yamukomba chabe aleka kuchita mkati mwathu. Kodeka kuti Yehova masana lero kuti tayopambana Yehova mutiyang'anire kuti tsogolere pakati kuti pakali pano. Kodeka kuti chisomo cha Mwana Yesu Khristu chikondi cha Mulungu Atate masichenjera cha Mzimu Woyera kapende mai ndi pangoni aliyesana nawe yapira lero kusiyana nthawi zonse. If that one there is so many technos, we can use it. Amen. Amen.